Job I want to tackle while I'm here is front seal guard. Now what that is, it just goes on behind your harmonic balancer here. What can happen is if you don't change out your oil filter housing gasket, it can leak oil down onto your pulleys, which will cause your belt to slip, and the belt will slip behind the pulley and force its way into your front main seal, which will shred itself as it goes into the engine, which could lead to catastrophic failure. Some people are lucky; they'll get away with it. They can just fish most of the plastic rubber pieces out of the oil pan, but a lot of times you just end up with a bigger headache and you ended up blowing up the motor anyway later on down the road because you missed some pieces of the belt. So best way to negate that altogether is to get this plate and put it on there behind your balancer, and that way it'll keep your belt from making its way into the front seal. Tools you're going to want to have is your breaker bar and your 22mm socket that goes over your crank bolt, and you use that to hold it in place. And then you need a E10 Torx, and while you're holding your crank in place, you go after these smaller bolts and loosen them with your E10, and try and do it in a star pattern. That way you relieve the pressure evenly. What I didn't mention is a lot of times on these engines, especially if you live somewhere like in the Midwest, those bolts will be rusted on there pretty good. So you want to make sure you take your PB blaster, spray it on there real good, and let it soak for a long time. That way you don't snap the bolts, and be real careful with that. So now we're here at this part. You want to make sure the surface clean. While you're here, you want to check around this area and see if there's any oil or something leaking out of there. That might be an indicator that your front seal is leaking and you would want to replace it while you're already here. Mine looks pretty good, so I'm not going to sweat it. All right, to put it in place, you got two bolts here at the bottom. Those are both E12s. Take your take your wrench and just back them off of there. Now make sure when you get your crank guard, you get it from a reputable distributor. I had bought one earlier from eBay, and the damn thing broke on me when I tried to put it on.
When will you learn? When will you learn that your actions have consequences?
So I went with a VTT unit. Make sure that if you do go some other direction, that it comes with bolts, because these are aluminum bolts that BMW put in the engine. A lot of the bolts in the engine are aluminum. I'm guessing they did that for some type of weight savings. Like if you've ever held one, they weigh almost nothing. But of course, being aluminum, they're you can only stretch them once. So you only want to stretch them once to be on the safe side. So make sure if whatever unit that you get to put on there for a guard, that it comes with, if it doesn't come with bolts, that you get some brand new at least OEM bolts, and don't reuse the ones that were already in there. So you want to fit your unit on there. These came with bolts already. Now you get these in there. You want to make sure the ring has enough room around here when you get ready to torque these down. You don't want your plate being to one side more than the other, or you run the risk of damaging your crank. So make sure you pay attention to that when you're torquing the bolts down. After you get it on and get it torqued down, Then you can put the balancer back on, and all right, the last part is you want to torque the bolts, doing the star pattern. So like you did in the beginning, put your breaker bar on there, and I believe the torque value is like 22 Newton meters, but since I'm reusing the bolts, I think it's suggested that you replace them, but since I'm reusing them, I'm going to torque them to 25 Newton meters just to be on the safe side. So once you get done with that, you're good. And when you're done, it should look like before you started.
Smoke some, bitch. GK. Hold up. Talk about.